How's it going, guys? It is Blake here from the Entries and the Sanctuary. Just wanted to give you guys a quick, a much quicker announcement update sort of vlog, I guess you can say today. Normally, whenever I do a new announcement vlog or update, these tend to be a little bit long, but I kind of just want to preface everything that's been going on lately, as well as talk a little bit about the new arcs that are up on both the Sanctuary and the avidentries.com. So yesterday I uploaded on both my Facebook page, the Facebook page and the Twitter page and the YouTube page, a teaser video for the brand new arc, which officially kicks off today over on the Sanctuary for the month of September, and that arc is entitled Duality, A Voyage of Light and Shadow. So this is going to be a really interesting arc for me. I'm taking things a little bit differently this time around. If you saw from the teaser video, entries are going to kind of be split up into phases this time around. And I suppose I have done something similar to that in the past, where an arc would have sub-arcs built into it, but normally those sub-arcs would kind of expand over over a certain amount of months. These phases, however, I want to say they're much smaller, and they're going to expand throughout weeks within September. So by the end of September, all three phases will be done, and that's kind of where the entries will be going under. So each new entry will go under one of the phases. As of now, I'm really not sure if I want to skip around with the phases, like if I want to do them in order, like finish one phase and go on to two or go on to three, because that would make a lot more sense if I'm going to call them phases. But at the same time, the thought process when writing these entries as of now is they really don't have to go in order. I just wanted to get across the point that each phase is sort of focusing on a different concept entirely, and that's why all the entries can't just be under one branch. Just because I feel like each phase is just a completely different concept, and so I wanted to get that across by having different phases. So yeah, it's going to be a very a very interesting arc for me. This one is definitely, I want to say it's definitely a lot more personal. I would say it's a lot more personal than Shadows, and come to think of it, it's more of like an epilogue to Shadows. So yes, Shadows was the arc that was going on for August, and that has concluded, and the entry that's up now, which is entitled Castaway, the first entry for Duality, and I'm kind of also making it sort of a final entry for Shadows, because I never really said, okay, here's the last entry for Shadows. The previous entry for Shadows, or the last one that I written for Shadows, was entitled Shadows, but I didn't say it was going to be the last one, because I kind of had in mind that I wanted to have, wanted to set up this new arc as a sort of epilogue. So the first entry for Duality, A Voyage of Light and Shadow, is entitled Castaway, and it's also being marked under as the final entry for Shadows for last month's arc. So yeah, I mean, it's just in general, I feel like it's going to be a much more personal arc. There are again, I don't like talking too much about like what it's going to focus on, but yeah, I would say it's definitely a much more personal arc. There are a lot of things that I'm taking for one of the phases. There's a lot of things that I'll be writing about that have happened like long in the past. It's sort of like it'll be sort of like a past, present, and future comparison sort of phase, and yeah, it's just really interesting. I think sort of the first entry, Castaway, sort of entitled that a little bit, or encompass that a little bit, and I'm not really sure if so. Castaway, if you ever check out that entry, it's sort of written in a way that like it's clearly split up. Like I tried to organize it as much as possible, but it's not very long. It's pretty short, but I'm not really sure if I want to go with that format with each new entry for at least the phase. Actually, I should probably go over each of the phases. So the first phase that's going on right now or that Castaway is a part of is From Those Days and What Shall Follow. So it's sort of split up in a way where it's a little bit more organized, but at the same time, I'm not really sure if I'm going to have it like that for each new entry that's under that phase. So all three phases for the for Duality. I'm just gonna call it Duality just because that's the overheading branch title for the arc. So all three phases are From Those Days and What Shall Follow. That's the first phase. The second phase is the Final Flame, and the third phase is the Dark Side of Duality. So those are kind of going to be the main, I guess you could say, just the main bullet points for all of the entries for this arc. And yeah, it's going to it's just going to be a much more personal arc, and I kind of wanted to have it be encompass a much more journeying or adventuring feel to it. I feel like a lot of the past arcs that I've been doing, a lot of the past entries I've been doing have just been more like, I want to say they've been more of a, what's a good way I could word this? I feel like they've been more of a sort of deep inside journeying, like more of a mental journeying. This one I kind of want to have it encompass much more a bigger sense of adventure and a bigger sense of just exploration in general. So that's kind of what I'm going for with this arc. Now over on the Avid entries, now this was I haven't actually did not release anything for what's happening over on the Avid entries for the month of September, but the War of Shadows is continuing. That arc is continuing over on the Avid entries, and its official title is The War of Shadows Extend, The Lords of Shadows. So that's the full title of the continuation of The War of Shadows over on the Avid entries. That's going to be going on for the month of September. Pretty much the same concept. Going to be sort of touching on a lot more bigger things, like just bigger stuff is going to be happening in that arc. But overall it's just sort of just a continuation of what has already been started. And yeah, I'm also very excited to be writing that as well. So along with all the new entries and everything, there are a couple more nature music videos, NMVs on the way, lyrical music videos coming on the way for a lot more tracks that I feel like encompass sort of the feeling of these arcs. And I have a lot of tracks in mind, which is crazy, and it makes me feel like I'm extremely behind because there's just so many NMVs and LMVs that I want to do for so many different tracks. But at the same time, I don't want to just like keep throwing just them out over on the channel. Like in the past, NMVs and LMVs have sort of been a luxury. Like I would do them every now and then. So whenever a new one comes up, it was kind of like special. But now, honestly, just because we're coming to the end of the whole Avid entry saga and everything, I kind of just want to push out as many as I possibly can and just make sure to have a lot more content for these arcs, because I don't want it to be strictly entries. And a lot of the time it's really hard to find time to record videos, to find time to record NMVs, especially like to, you know, encompass the quality that I want them to. Like, to be very honest, I haven't even feel like I've made a quality NMV or LMV ever. Like, what I picture in my head, I know I could do with the equipment that I have, but it's just the amount of time, like the amount of time it would take is a lot of time. So, yeah, I feel like since we're really in the end game of things now, especially with September, I really want to try and push as much as possible to just get all these other content ideas out and not have things just be strictly entries. So at the very least, what I could offer is more video updates are coming along the way. And more NMVs and LMVs are definitely on the way. And some other things that really I want to get back to doing, just because I feel like entries are not enough alone. Written stuff is not enough alone, and I know a lot of people just aren't into reading. So yeah, I want to make up for that in other ways. Let's see, I think that's pretty much all I really wanted to touch on today, is just sort of prefacing the new arcs. So that's what's going to be going on. Yeah, I would say if you haven't been reading anything on either of the sites, now is a good time to do so, just because things are definitely shifting, and you know, if not last month's arcs, this month is really sort of every single month I say this is really where things are shifting towards the end. But I feel like this month in general, this is just the true beginning of the end game for this entire saga, and for both sides in general. Like, this is where the end game really begins, and this is where things are really going to start picking up and just getting really intense in general. So yeah, that's basically all I really wanted to touch on today. Just a few closing thoughts and closing notes. So I know I am mad behind on the Shadows Before Dawn's readings. It's been really rough trying to find time during the day to record, even though, you know, as of now, I have the entire place to myself. It's peace and quiet. But I actually have to do a live stream in literally less than 20 minutes. So I think somebody's here now, so I should probably close this out. But anyway, all that stuff is coming very, very soon. More content is on the way, and yeah, I'll keep you guys updated. Take care.